So you say you want to sell something. This is an interesting conversation, the conversation of sales, of making money, and it's an exciting conversation. Like if you have had the experience of selling, that you'll know that the actual sales experience itself, when it works, it's amazing. It's like, oh my goodness, look at this. There's money coming in exchange for some services, some products that you're providing. It's an amazing experience. And the cool thing is that both you benefit and your customer benefits. They're actually giving you money for a reason. They're solving a problem in their lives, and hopefully you're going to solve that for them. But you say you're going to do this again, and as you get into the game, a strange thing can happen. You can start to learn a lot of things to do or ways to think, and what originally might have been a very simple experience of run an ad into a sales page becomes a giant mess of automations and Zapiers and all sorts of interesting techniques and strategies. So what I wanted to provide for you is a simplicity, because it is very easy to get overwhelmed and not actually do anything at all. To either get stuck with endless ideas that never get implemented, or actually going all the way through to implementation and not executing, or executing half done, half baked, inconsistent sales experiences that don't work. So what is it that you actually need to be employing? Well, one of the things you're going to need to be is organized. You see, as your team grows and you start to have more people involved in the production of sales funnels and all of the associated experiences that go with that, you're going to need some way to keep your team organized. And this is often called project management. But there are many ways to do this. One methodology is by speaking, by telling people what to do. But in this interesting age, we call it that, interesting time that we find ourselves, most people are under significant stress. Like there's a giant backlog of unprocessed emotions, of difficulties, of fear, of supply chain problems, of do this, do that, do this, do that. Rules that were made for a world that existed 3 weeks or potentially even 3 months ago, but no longer exists right now. And so you're going to need to be organized, and you're going to need to know what to do. And you're like, well, I know what to do, Tom. Come on. We just put up a sales page. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know what? That's awesome. But when you start to break it down and get good at this game, you'll find that sales experience, that sales page, has a lot more moving parts than it first looks. Particularly if you're going to sell anything more than $100 or whatever. If you're under $100, fine. Put up your Amazon page, put up your website page, direct traffic straight to it. It's probably pretty good. If you're good, you can do that out to maybe $397. But if you're trying to sell a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 product with just an ad to a sales page, you're going to struggle. So if you want to sell at the higher end, if you want to sell $25,000 experiences, perhaps even $100,000 experiences, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to need to know the components so that you can organize them. You can be extraordinarily organized but have nothing to organize, and it's like, well, who cares? So let's focus on what you need to have in place for a world-class sales experience. And the first thing, of course, is that sales experience. How are the people going to buy? How are they going to get into the sales experience? Are they going to sign up? Are they just going to hit the sales page directly? If they sign up, where do they go? Are they getting a bribe? Are they getting content? What are they signing up for? And when they consume that content, what happens next? Where do they go next? Do they go through more content? Do they go to the sales page there? What does that all look like? And when they say, yes, I want to buy, and then what happens? What's that checkout page look like? What's the technology look like? Are you using Stripe? Are you using PayPal? Are you using something else? And they put their details in, and then what's that next page look like? So already, just in this sales experience, you can see the number of pages is quite significant, and that's before you consider forms and tagging, that when they put their name in to receive the content, where does that go? What software is looking after that? But let's say that you've got all of that in point. So let's call that sales experience. What else do you need? Well, you need to let people know some form of advertising, and if you're fortunate, you will have a list of email names, perhaps of phone numbers, of mailing addresses even. And you can send some content, send some advertising to those people and say, hey, come and check this out. Perhaps there's a reason that you can provide for them to say, you know what, that matches to what I'm interested in. I'm going to click on that. I mean, you could send them a random piece of content, but it's unlikely to get them to click and to enter into the sales experience. But nonetheless, there is some form of advertising. So one form is that you have data that allows you to contact people that have already done business with you or have already raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in doing business with you. What's the other way? Well, the other way is advertising directly, often called paid ads. But you could also have search engine optimization. It's going to take a while longer. And almost certainly you will have to pay for that search engine optimization in order to rise up to the first page of Google. But those direct ads do work so well. Facebook, Instagram, and perhaps spreading out to YouTube, to LinkedIn, to even Google search results themselves. The original PPC. So we've got advertising to people that already know about you, advertising directly to new people to say, hey, come and check this out. But that is an advertising experience. So we've got, first of all, our sales experience, second, our advertising experience. So they find out, they say yes, 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 and they buy. And then what have you got? Well, you've got a fulfillment experience. So you actually have to deliver on what you promised that they would get in your offer. Oh, gee, offer. Okay, interesting. So we're going to need an offer as well. But let's say that you've got your offer done and they say yes to that offer, and then you have to deliver on that product. So you've got to either send them the product or they consume the product. They get access to a membership. But you've also got another piece, which if you're any good, you will think about. And that is, how do you get your people to consume and do what they bought? Perhaps this is not so difficult if you're selling products or you're selling supplements, that many people will actually take those just by default. There's not a huge amount of work required on your end to make sure that your customers actually use what they bought. But as you provide some services, some experiences, this actually becomes a critical part of the equation as well. So not only have you got to fulfill with the products or the services, but you also have to fulfill with a customer experience. So let's review. We've got sales, we've got ads, we've got product fulfillment, and we've got customer experience. And that's even just cutting the surface. Of course, you can get fancier. You could do retargeting ads. You could do email campaigns for your sales experience. You could use chatbots in your advertising. You could have upsells in your products. You could have multiple remarkable customer experiences through the life cycle of that customer, so that when it comes time to ask for a case study, they're like, hell yes, I want to be part of this. This was phenomenal. The craziest thing is that customer experience is relatively easy to excel in. The bar is set low. It's set very low. But if you don't do it at all, then people just have another humdrum experience of, oh yeah, I bought it. Nothing special. But your opportunity, if you think about this, if you know about it, and if you're organized, then you could have this. So 4 pieces there. But I want to open your mind up. I want to open your mind up to one more idea, that these 4 are at high risk of failure without one more part. Do you know what that part is? Well, before we go there, let's talk about why that might be at risk. You see, the less organized you are, the more difficult it will be to pull this off. Why? Because there's so many parts that have to be covered. It's easy to miss them. It's easy to make mistakes. You think you're done and then you realize that there's no thank you page. You think you're done and then you realize that the opt-in doesn't work. You think you're done and then the autoresponder that triggers when a tag gets triggered that somebody used the product doesn't fire. All of these moving parts need to be tracked. So you need to be organized. And if you're not, what happens is things start to go wrong. What you promised in your sales experience is not what is fulfilled on. What you're advertising is not what they're signing up for. And what they buy is not matched to an experience that is suitable for those products. So all of these problems come up with this organization. And one more thing. What's that thing? Well, that mystery, that strange thing that makes all 4 of these other categories actually work is called marketing. Marketing? I thought this was all marketing. No. You go to build and to sell without marketing, and you are likely to experience multiple problems throughout all of those other 4 areas. Why? Well, you've got no unifying theme throughout them. Marketing is the unifying theme that goes into sales, that goes into advertising, that goes into the products, goes into the customer experience. It's like the blueprints for a house. Imagine going to a builder and saying, hey, I'd love a house. And they're like, well, have you got the plans? And you're like, no, just build me a house. And then they get halfway through and you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't really like this. Let's change the design. And the builder's like, you gotta be kidding me. Builders won't build without plans. So why do you think it's a good idea to build sales experiences, advertisements, product development, and customer experience without plans? The trick is that they're not called plans. They're not called blueprints. What are they called is marketing. And that marketing defines 3 critical things. You might want to write this down. Number 1, who? Who are you serving? Who are you serving? Who is your avatar? Specifically. Number 2, what is their problem? What's the problem that they've got? And what are your solutions for that? And then 3rd, what's your offer? What's your offer to them to say, hey, I see you've got this problem. I see you've got this problem. Here's an offer for you that solves that problem. Here's how much it costs. Here are the terms. Here's the time frames. Here's what you get. And if you get the right person, then they will say, hell yes, I would like to exchange my money for that solution. And why would they do that? Well, they value the solution more than they value the money. They're like, I want that solution. It brings them more in their life to have that solution instead of the cash in their bank. And that's why they say yes. But without marketing, you won't know who you are writing to or producing for. You won't know what their problems are, and you certainly won't have an offer that solves those problems in an effective and attractive way. So this is the importance of marketing. You can draw this out and draw marketing at the bottom and then draw an arrow to sales, arrow to ads, arrow to product, arrow to customer experience. Marketing underpins all of those other four. So before you start your next sales experience, before you want to sell something next time, my encouragement to you is to first of all realize the four areas that you have to deliver on. And second, begin with marketing. Begin with the blueprints. Begin with the plan. And then you will have a clean execution across sales, across ads, across products, and across customer experience. All right, that's all I got for you tonight. I hope you got some value out of it. This is gold. This is gold. If you're hearing this and you're like, oh my goodness, you understand this. If you're at a level that you can actually get this and go, oh, I can see how this plays out. This will not make much sense if this is your first experience of internet marketing. But if you have been in the game for a while, then you will hopefully, and I'm sure you will, appreciate the power of knowing the structure of how marketing influences everything else in the production area of your business. If you want some help with that, head over to systemio.dev, systemio.dev. Love to help you out there. If you are suffering from a marketing problem, an organizational problem, and you want yours to work better, go over there, systemio.dev. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode as we continue this journey into the power of systems to create results. I'll see you then.